So, a little pond update by popular demand. It is now July 2026, 3 years after the original build. Not much happened on the pond this year in terms of work improvements, but just some maintenance. We had a couple of heat waves. The spring was a bit slow in temperature rise, but then it is now mid-July, and we had, about 3 weeks ago, it was about 38, 39 degrees outside in the shade. So it's quite unusual for here. And then in that period, a lot of wire algae started growing. So one problem I identified that makes that happen faster is I don't have, from the deep part, proper circulation upward. So while I have these 8 aquarium stone entries that I explained previously that help circulate by pumping air through it, I do not have that coming all the way from the bottom, which is about 2.5 meters deep. So what you get is the surface just is a lot warmer than down. When you swim, you will definitely feel the difference in temperature. And it's nice because you don't want to be cold when you're swimming, but at the same time it gets really much warmer around the edges here. So there's a lot more of this wire algae happening, and it's normally not a thing that I really worry about. It all kind of dies down at some point when the plants take over and the gravel microbes also do their job with enough oxygen. So it's not anaerobic, it's not smelly or anything. It's just like a lot of this stuff. Many animals like this to put their eggs in. It's edible for some, I suppose, and it gives a cover. So this year also I have permanent green frogs sitting in there. Of course I can't find any right now, but that is quite a bonus for this one now, because I really wanted to see those permanently. So what happens with the algae is once it gets really too much, I just get in there for an hour or so and I start pulling it out a bit and throwing it on the side. I don't have any of this in the swim section. It's really just where the gravel is and where it heats up, and also that's where the debris is, right? That's where most of the leaves collect. I mean, there's leaves and stuff on the bottom in the swim section, but it's too deep to really be a problem, at least not for the foreseeable future. Maybe once every 5 years I will try to clean out the bottom a bit. Just go in there and scoop the dirt off, or maybe get kind of a vacuumer set up for that. But it's not an ongoing thing that I have to do all the time, I've noticed. Because it's deep enough, and as you see, the water is super clear. I can actually see the bottom from here. One thing I noticed, and I had the same thing last year, was a lot of dead frogs and toads on the bottom after the winter, and it's just heartbreaking to see it. But this winter I did keep it open, so I run the compressor, and I keep it ice free, also for the birds, but also for the oxygen level, so that the frogs don't suffocate. That's usually what that was my theory that was happening. But I still had, I don't know, a couple of dozen laying on the bottom. I try to fish them out early spring, but they also just decompose at some point. So that's just the cycle of life. So plant-wise, things are doing quite well, especially in this corner, because it gets most of the sun. So we have all of these, I keep forgetting the name, these are like these little purple flowers. I think it's called Myosotis. And then there's a whole bunch of water mint, great for tea. The irises are doing well. These are the ones that I transplanted from my old my small pond that I had before. And then I have all these other types of irises that are starting to become adult and starting to flower. Some of them have flowered already. So it's almost time. I think next year I'll remove all the baskets around them and just give them, you know, all the space to go into the gravel with their root systems. And yeah, these do well. These are native here as well. They get these little yellow, purple flowers. I can put the names up of all the plants I've got in the pond. I don't remember all the names in English or Latin at this point. There's a fern, there's a water fern, so there's a gift from a neighbor. It does pretty well. But yeah, overall, quite happy with it still. A great addition to my garden. I swim every day during the heat waves, especially appreciated. I think the water got up to maybe 25 degrees when the air temperature got up to 39 a couple of weeks ago. So it was quite nice to have, quite a lifesaver. I improved on the entrance here. I just have some concrete tiling with gravel in it, you know, like the gravel tiles that you can get. And I turned them over so they have even more grip, because one thing I noticed, especially after the winter, the film algae make any surface that is like kind of smooth especially slippery, and you have this on the wood. So I kind of cleaned the wood with a broom a bit, so that I could still kind of walk on there, sit on there without slipping out when I need to go in and kind of work on the filter section, clean it a bit. But yeah, that's the update. Also, my grass here is doing well. This was another kind of 3-year project, because, you know, when we dug all this out, it was just sand and just a little bit of dirt. But I'd never really created a lawn, and it's kind of challenging because I got all these types of trees here that kind of acidify the soil. So I had to fertilize and throw calcium around. A lot of water. Oh, another thing I put in. People were asking actually, where do I have the pumps and stuff? So the water pump is just laying in there, submerged. So there's less chance of it like grabbing air. And the compressor, this is definitely not ideal, and I would not recommend anyone doing it this way, but it was kind of a quick thing I did. The blue thing here is the compressor. Just, you know, have this as a rain cover, even though it's waterproof. And now I have this pump. I already had this thing, but I installed this earlier this year, sucking from the pond into my drip irrigation line for the plants that I have all around my property, and the other side goes to the sprayers that I have on the lawn there. And so I use the pond as a buffer to get irrigation water. And the reason I can do that now is that last fall I had a well drilled over there. It's about 25 meters deep. Gotta go deeper. The groundwater is around 10, but we don't know how much lower it can get in the future with all the droughts. And so every day I pump around 2,000 to 3,000 liter in from the groundwater, which is super clean here. It's drinking water quality pretty much, on an automatic timer. And so I keep the pond at a good level, you know, as much as I can. And from there I irrigate everything. So I use it as a buffer. It keeps the water clean as it's filtering, it's cleaning itself. And yeah, I do the same with, I have a hot tub over there now, just a self-built hot tub system. And when I empty it, that goes into the pond as well. So you get about 1,000 liters of maybe 35-degree water still at that point. Doesn't really warm it up, but yeah. So that's the whole cycle now. So no more tap water, and saves money, and it feels a lot better doing it that way, obviously. So this is the view I have every morning when I step out of my house from here and take a swim.